Not another one. Town's fourth deal of the week is concluded, and this one is a championship record transfer fee. Welcome to Cindre Valet Egler, and welcome to the Blue Monday podcast. I am going to have to apologise for that pronunciation. Easy for me to say straight off the bat. We're going to do our best with that. The guy has helped us out, but we're getting up to speed. Bear with us. Welcome to a live reaction the morning after another transfer announced at Ipswich Town. Joining me to talk about it, Joe Fairs. Let us know you're in there in the chat. We'll come and speak to you soon too. But Joe, give us your reaction to this one, because we've had a pretty bumper week, haven't we?
Well, we knew it's been coming, hasn't it? It's been talked about for sort of about 2 weeks now. It broke ago, and it's maybe even longer than that. And it's just been building and building. And there'd been I think over the course of yesterday, we knew it was done. There'd been a lot of talk that the medical can be done. He's been over here. He was papped on an aeroplane on the way over here. Somebody had him in the reception of Portman Road, or been dropped off at Portman Road. I think McKenna, even in his pre-match press conference, said something along the lines to the sort of press, where are we with announcements at the moment? As in, have we announced this one yet? We don't know. So it'd been coming. But yeah, this is, I guess this is the most exciting transfer of the window so far, isn't it? Made some brilliant signings, but when you're signing someone with sort of wonder kid status, 19 years old, breaking the championship transfer record, getting him over here, one that we know a lot of big clubs have been in for, and it's one where his ceiling is so high. Obviously, it's probably the riskiest. Well, it is the riskiest of the transfers, because his floor is probably the lowest. The fee is the highest, but he's a player that could be worth anything in the future if he carries on with his trajectory at the moment.
Yeah, we'll talk about his stats, and I've got. We love these wagon wheels. Thank you to Oscar and Adam in our who helm our Beyond the Scoreline show on a Monday. But we've also got other bits and pieces as well that we'll chuck at you and try and get you up to speed. But yeah, as Joe says, there's a lot of stuff there going on that we're going to need to talk through. We'll also talk about the Nunez announcement. We have to talk about that briefly, so we will do that. But it's match day as well, so great to have so many folk with us early doors. We didn't know whether to go late last night. We were debating it and have decided to go now. So great to see so many of you with us. Give us your thoughts, and if you've got any inside information, intel, do share as well. We'll try and put as many comments on the screen. Very briefly, the kind of basic fact file. Joe says 19 years old, 6 foot, forward, but we think kind of generally off the right hand side. Scored 5 goals on his youth team debut, and has been likened, according to Wikipedia, to one Erling Haaland. High praise indeed. Moved to Nordland in February 2022, made 39 appearances, scored 10 goals, and is now capped at senior level for Norway, having played through all the ages and had pretty impactful moments for them. I guess, Joe, you talked about the kind of the low end, really, in terms of quite raw probably, and still, we need to give him time to grow. But in theory, the potential is, of all the signings maybe we've made this summer, this is probably the biggest, and the fee explains that.
Yeah, and like I say, if you look at players like who's going to be a top Premier League player out of our signings, it's like, well, probably he's the one with the potential to go all the way up to that level, where, like, with the best will in the world, I think Casey McAteer is a really good signing in that regard. Matasiba does, but at best, they're going to be Premier League players at the bottom end, where this guy, the sort of sky is the limit for him there. And like with his goal scoring record for Norway, I think he's broken sort of all of Erling Haaland's goal scoring records in the Norway youth team, which doesn't always mean a lot in youth football, but these aren't some footballing giant that are just used to battering people with a huge squad of quality. He's one that's sort of taking games by the scruff of the neck, just scoring lots and lots of gols. And I think he's in the under-21 squad next week, but he's been capped at senior level in the Nations League last year. But I watched sort of a couple of podcasts about him this morning, looked in some of his stats. And he is, whilst he plays off the right, he's someone that will drift all over that front three, get on the ball, get in good areas, carry the ball, shoot. He loves a shot. I think he missed the target with more shots last year than Liam Delap had. So, yeah, I think he had exactly 100 shots in the Danish Super League last year in like 30 games. So he is a shot monster from that side.
Given we've struggled with goals so far this season, you can't. Yeah, that's positive signs. Luke has mentioned our Norwegian number 8. He's got the number 8 shirt. Does that help you at all, Joe? Place where McKenna might use him, because we've spent big money down the right hand side, haven't we? We'll talk about what that means for existing personnel. But does the number 8 shirt help you, or is it just to kind of denote the importance of the deal, perhaps?
I guess it shows it straight into the first team, which I guess we all knew he would with that size fee, but he's going to be someone who's here to contribute now. He's not someone to be eased into the squad and in the team. He's somebody straight in, because I think we'd have all guessed that Nunes would have been the number 8 when he was announced yesterday, and he took the 32 shirt. And then I think Furlong's taking the 19 shirt, Azon or Ivan, the 31, and then Sindre with the 8. So I don't know how he'll be referred to. I think at Nordland he had Valet Egeli on the back of his shirt, whether he that or Egeli or whatever, we'll see. We haven't seen the back of the shirt, but I'm sure it will be a popular one amongst the terraces with the Ipswich fans, because it is that just excitement. I've been mentioning it. I think Dan just put it in the comments there. We're looking, you're wanting that stardust in that free. You've had that, not to say like Philiginism, but we were at the stage where we had effectively on the right-hand side, Ogbene, McAteer in the middle, Chaplin, Smodics, Akpom on the left, Philogene, Clark, where now this is a guy and we all hope he can have the same impact as Murray Hutchinson did for us back in 23-24, a guy who can just get on the ball. You bring him on maybe as a sub, get on there, and he's just going to go at his full-back all game, beat him, get shots away, get cross away, and just make things happen, because he does. And I know it's quite easy to say that from a YouTube video because everyone looks good on these, but he does just look like somebody who makes things happen. Might not be making the right decision all the time. He might be shooting when he should pass or crossing when the shot opens up and missing bits. But yeah, he's a guy that's going to make things happen for us this year. And if he can be sort of half as good as we hope he can be, he's going to be a fantastic addition.
He's definitely got that Scandinavian kind of physique and structure about him, as in like Haaland. It's interesting to mention they do look very physically similar, at least on the photos that we've got on the screen there. I've got to chuck this in because I was thinking it myself from Amanda. Can we now officially say that this is a great transfer window? I mean, I'm trying to think of, we've obviously spent a lot of money last summer. I think maybe in hindsight, we obviously got really excited about Calvin F. and Phillips, didn't we? But there was a few players like Delap that we didn't really know that they were going to hit the ground running like they did. Obviously, securing Amari, that was already a known quantity there. Where does this window rank for you, Joe?
Yeah, I think it's got us where we needed to be. I think there's always an element where you want your 2 players for every position. You're 25, maybe another one like Sindre. A big thing with him that he's only 19, so he counts as an under 21 player this year. So McKenna likes to have like 27, it seems, in squad, where this allows him to be at 26. So we've now got the spread of bodies throughout the pitch. I think you look in every position on the pitch, and I guess if you're incredibly fussy or specific, maybe we could do with somebody who could fully back up Matasiwa as a ball-winning midfielder, sort of screen a ball-winning midfielder. And I wouldn't be too disappointed if there's a third striker. We've obviously got George Hurson, Ivan Azon, whether there's a third guy in there because it only takes one injury or Azon not to get up to speed quick enough, and you're sort of back to that stage where you're flogging your guy there because Ali Al-Hamadi either injured or potentially on the way out. So, but I think it's nice that we're going into the end of the window with if the squad ends as it is today, obviously, except we're going to lose a few players to get it down there, we're in a really good position, and there's still that potential that we could add a couple more or one more, 2 more to it if the right opportunity comes up. We've still got a loan spot free, which is very important going into the end of the window. So there's still things that could happen. But yeah, I think you look at the squad now and there doesn't really seem to be any sort of any weaknesses or major drop-offs in there.
Do you want me to put I always ask for feedback when I do this image, and Joe always comes back with something that I've missed. And I put it in Telegram last night and I got a load of criticism as well. So hopefully this is as good as I can get it right now as of yesterday. But here is the squad depth, Joe. And I've kind of highlighted loan incomings in light blue and the kind of outgoings in dark grey. And they're in kind of new signing order with contracts with the greatest duration at the top there. But you kind of look around that right-hand side position. Should we talk about that now? Because you've got 12 million on Casey McAteer. Ogbeni was a big signing, big money signing last summer, coming back from injury. Where's Burns? We don't really know the state of play on his situation, but the registration, I guess, next week will tell us. But he's out of contract in the summer, but you'd expect has a role to play. Clark can play on the right. Philogene could play on the right if wanted to as well. There's a lot of strength and depth down that side, isn't there?
Yeah, and even when you look at the fullbacks, I think Furlong is only really a right back. Maybe can sort of come across in that hybrid. So down that side, you got in the right hand side position, Valet Egler, McAteer, Ogbene, Burns, and at fullback you've got Ashley Young, Ben Johnson, Harry Clark, and Darnell Furlong. So you've got 8 players for 2 positions down that side there. But I think Valet Egler will be someone that can float across in different roles, and he's probably going to be more used as a bench option and someone to get into the team over the first couple of months of the season, unless he can really blow us away straight away. But yeah, there's a lot of options, and you look at it there. There's Finn Barbrook, Valet Egler, and then there's 30 players there, and we can only have 25. So five of those players aren't going to be registered in the squad. I think it's safe to say Connor Townsend is one of those because his injury is, I think, for the majority of the season. I think it's probably also safe to say Elkin Baggett will be one of those because he's likely head out on loan, but then you've got to find 3 more out of there, and there's lots of ways you can do. I'm sure everyone would have their choice of the 3 they want to take out there or would prefer to see out there, but we're dealing with a market where the 3 we need to lose may be the 3 that we've got interest in or are able to lose. So yeah, it's going to be a interesting week, and maybe the match day squad today will give us some hints as to who isn't going to be here.
Yep.
Next week.
I realised I've got Furlong on the wrong side there as well, and I was looking at it, and I have to apologise because someone in Telegram did say that. So I think he could play anywhere down that line, but even Johnson and Young, as you mentioned, Joe, have played in that right wing role too. So it'll really, today will tell us a lot, won't it? And we just very quickly need to say hello to our friends down under. Nathan, woohoo! First pod I've been able to attend with the time difference up the tower, hoping for 3 points. When I wake up. Thank you, Nathan, for the super chat. You could do likewise there if you're watching on YouTube. If you're watching on X, come and join us on YouTube. There's much more fun going on there. You can get involved in the chat. Thank you, Nathan, for your support. Thumbs up are really appreciated. We need to say thank you to everyone who's watched or subscribed or listened over the last few weeks. This summer has been a really good one for us, so we're really grateful to that. But obviously, plenty of talking points, and we've got plenty more content to come. So please subscribe, and it'll land in your feed. And if we go live, you'll hear all about it too. But thank you, Nathan, for supporting the podcast. And good day to you. I guess it's not good day anymore. It's good evening, isn't it? Possibly. And I saw Ben out there as well, and Michael. So the Aussie contingent are very much out there. And we'll, if you enjoyed the Saturday morning podcast, let us know in the comments and in the chat, because I'm sure we can make that happen too. But back to business, Joe. I've got questions coming in. Please keep them coming. I'll pose them to Joe as we go. I guess this one from Mabby is less of a question. Mabby 13. A week is a long time in football. We talked about Mark Ashton's role here, and there was a lot of people down after Preston, quite understandably. A lot of business, including this deal for Egler, was not kind of completed at that point, and question marks about it. A week is a long time in football. I mean, 48 hours is a long time in football. Are you expecting the mood to be buoyant today? It has to be, doesn't it, after what we've experienced and the highs and lows of the week?
Yeah, it must be, because if you think we knew this was happening. Then first, obviously the transfer broke Wednesday night, and then Thursday at 7:45, it was confirmed that Furlong signed. He was first, wasn't he? Then 8:45, Azon signed. Then was it 11 a.m. on Friday that I'm losing track of everyone here, that Nunez had signed
early doors,
and then at like
10 o'clock, I think
10:15, 10:15 last night it was that Sindre was signed. So you're talking like a 26, 27 hour period where we've signed 4 players, where we've spent 25, 30 million quid on players it just in that period. And now we go into the game today, which is a huge game, and it's important not just to worry about transfers at this stage. Like, we've got to win today. We've got great atmosphere amongst the fan base. The signers have really perked things up. We need to go in there, show that at the ground today, bring the noise, sort of beat Derby, and then you've got that 2-week run into that Sheffield United game. I know it's not quite as simple because a lot of players will be off on international duty, so it's not like we can just sit there and have 2 weeks on the training ground, because we're going to be losing a lot of the players, including at least one of the new signings in that regard. 2 really with McAteer and Egeli. So it's almost like we can breathe again now. Everything's been so tight and so stressed, and I guess so much as this is going on and taking so much of Kieran McKenna's wavelength up that he's having to speak to signings all the time rather than just be doing what he wants to be doing and working on the training ground. So it's really important that we get the win today, and then that we have this break where the players who either don't want to be here or we don't need here are gone and out of the club, and we can just concentrate with the 26, 27 players who'll be seeing us through to January.
Yeah, I've forgotten to say, and I committed to do this. So this is for Pete. The Egeli has landed. There you go. It doesn't really work with the pronunciation, but we're going with it anyway. Do keep your views coming in on him. I think the other thought I've got, Joe, very quickly before we kind of get more general, is the fee. We have mentioned it in the thumbnail and in the title of the video. This is a championship. We believe a championship record transfer fee. I can give you the top three, and you've already queried the top one. So Ruben Neves to Wolves, it's in euros. I don't know why. 17.9. Mike Trezor to Burnley last season for 18. Enzo Lefebvre, we think, was the deal. The 23 million euro deal was triggered after promotion, so we think doesn't count. But even in that context, we think this is just narrowly over that, isn't it? So it's a real statement, isn't it?
Yeah, you couldn't make a bigger statement than this, because you're not making it on a guy who can just is expected to hit the ground running. He's normally, when Wolves bought Ruben Neves, he's coming in as a 23, 24-year-old Portuguese international playing the Champions League the year before, coming in to sit in the centre of midfield, where this is, or in previous years like Britta Sombalonga, these guys have been coming in as absolute sure things, where we're signing this as much for potential as anything. And that's part because of how the market has gone. The market has gone crazy over the last year. And like we talked about it with the fees for Nunez and Broadhead, these guys like last year, even Furlong, like a 29-year-old right back in the last year of his contract and things like that, that the market is mad at the moment. Yeah,
and the Amari deal kind of proves that too, and Dibbling to Everton, all those kind of deals, they set a target too, and go on, sorry, Joe.
But also when you look at how Nordland have sold players over the last few years, like their record sale is Numa. I don't know where he went actually, but he went from there. But Osman, they sold to Brighton for 19.5 million at 19. Conrad Harder, 19 years old, 19 million to Sporting. Sulemina was 19 years old, 70 million to Rennes. And Schlederpruck to Benfica for 9 million. Adingra for 8 million when he was 20. Mohamed Kudus, 9 million when he was 19. It's a serious record. And like I say, there are 10 record signings, which now include, 11 record signings with Sindre, range from like 9 million to 25 million. Every single one of them is 18, 19 or 20. So That is a club that knows how to develop youth players, get them sold on. And a lot of those have gone on to have really, really good careers from there already and are on their way to having those as well. But yeah, so it is just big. It's just big money, isn't it, in all regards? And we now just have to see it on the pitch.
I was going to say, I'll come back to that very briefly. Another shout out to our Australian contingent, eight Aussie dollars or $10, I think it is. $8 for our new number 9 plus a 2 million team. Oh, we appreciate you, Ben. I'm the same as Nathan, first live pod in ages. Keep up the great work. It feels like, Joe, there's an untapped Australian market here that we need to be doing 9 a.m. pods. If you believe that's the case, then let us know, because I'm struggling to drink my coffee. So we are going to have to take a quick break in a minute. And I did commit to do a James Richards impression. It's fallen flat on its face, not least with the pronunciation and the pre-intro. So apologize to all in that respect. But to your point there, Joe, just break on this, and it's kind of the key thing that's in my mind. We've kind of talked about, the prospect here, the stature in terms of the comparisons to Haaland, the youth record, the international caps, the record fee. I was chatting to BBC Derby last night. I'm not chucking that as a name drop, but we were talking about
clang
BBC. Hello to fans of BBC Derby. There we are. We could have talked about it maybe if after the January window in 23-24. Is this no excuses territory now for McKenna and his backroom team? Ashton's done his job, hasn't he?
I don't think there was ever any excuses territory really in this league as a club. I know we needed to get the deals done. But as a club, I don't think we were ever in excuses territory, because we're coming down and there's only 4 parachute teams in the league. Sheffield United look to be in a bit of a state. They've sacked Chris Wilder. They've said they're going to use like AI recruitment, and which I guess most clubs do, just analysts. And then they've bought 2 or 3 players from the Bulgarian league, and then they're topping that up with Ben Mee, Danny Ings, and Nathan Redmond. It's like, well, what sort of recruitment model is pulling out Bulgarian league prospects and 3 players with hundreds of games in English leagues? It just seems a crazy one there. So that's one of the parachute teams. Leicester, who won again last night. They played well last night actually against Birmingham, or they stopped Birmingham from playing as much as anything. And they've got 3 wins out of 4, but they've got a points deduction potentially hanging over them. They're not playing well. They're still starting a very young team. I thought they were really poor against Charlton last week. We got the win. And then Southampton, who look in a decent state. They've sold Dibbling and Fernandez this week. I think they've brought in over 100 million of transfers this window. Started buying a few. They bought Azaz. They bought I think a Danish striker last night, or a German striker. They've bought Tom Fellows on the right wing as well. So they've made some good signings. But I think if you look at the squads now, it really is us and Southampton who look like the most settled, best squads in the league. And it's just making sure. I guess Birmingham are probably a big challenger in that, and then you've got your
didn't look great last night though. Birmingham,
no, they didn't. Yeah,
and no Stansfield equals no goals seemingly for them. So,
but hopefully, us and Southampton just walk the league. That'd be nice. That it goes to form, hopefully, and we're the 2 that should win it. But yeah, there's not really anything stopping us from doing it. It's just making it work on a pitch. And there will be seasons where you'd have to have those runs where you win like 8 out of 9, 2 or 3 times in the season, and really, really strong runs. But yeah, no, I'm very confident. I've been confident the whole time that we'll be okay. But the performances haven't been where we'd want them yet. So hopefully that changes today. But realistically, just a win today is all we need, and then just move on from there.
Yeah, squeaky win is what we talked about in the pre-match. By the way, after we're done here, and we've still got plenty of time, Joe's got to go off to corporate at some point, and I've got to go to the Greyhound. But we will stick it out as long as you folks stick around and keep giving us questions or feedback from Australia. We see you. Thank you for the insight and the time difference as well, by the way. Just need to chuck this up from Mabby as well. Mabby's been prolific in the chat. Appreciate you, Mabby. Could have a £50 million bench. It is strange, Joe. You rewind.
I think we probably will have a 50 million. There's almost no way around it, is there?
Yeah, 3-4 years. It's just, I love the memes of, are we the bad guys now from Mitchell and Webb? But we have not left anything out there in terms of exploiting the benefit the parachute payments and our sales have done. You know, in years gone by, we have maybe skimped and saved because we've had to, but as we keep saying this, the S word statement, but we are at least leaning into this because we have to maximize this advantage, because there are some really good teams. It's a really tough league, the Championship, isn't it? And if it's on the basis of, you know, we trust McKenna, we trust the process cliche, hopefully he'll get us playing in the right way that just wins matches and we don't have to think about it. But the marginal games, having players like Egeli and others, just better quality on the field, could be important, couldn't it?
Yeah, and you will need that. You will just need, when you're not played that well,
grotty 0-0, someone to ping one, isn't it? Like,
yeah, well, that was exactly. You talk about just mentioned Leicester there, Charlton Leicester last week. Charlton much the better side, and Abdul Fattah just pulls a goal out of absolutely nowhere, and they win the game 3 points. And look at Leicester, probably the most in flux club that have come down. And you look at the table, and they've won 3 out of 4. And they've had a bit of luck. They played Sheffield Wednesday first up, who was sort of putting out a scratch team. And then you've got a really lucky win at Charlton. But then that doesn't really matter. They've now got 9 points, and they're sort of looking up the table rather than down it. So that's what the quality players can do for you. And maybe that's where we've suffered, in that Southampton being able to keep hold of Dibbling and Fernandez up till this point, and Leicester have been able to keep hold of Fatawu and El Khanous. I know El Khanous didn't play last night. Where our players are, Amari Hutchinson didn't play for us, where if he'd played those first couple of games, he might have had that quality to just pull something out of nowhere for you. But it hasn't happened. So we now sort of back to drawing board and just go again.
Yeah. And even if you're doing what Leicester are doing, confidence also breeds momentum, doesn't it? And then the style of play, the patterns of play that we love to talk about here, we kind of underestimate the need for just momentum through winning matches, however that happens. So as we say, hopefully that starts today. Right, I'm going to down a mug of coffee. You've got 30 seconds to do likewise, and we'll be back to talk. We've got to talk about Nunez. We've got to give flowers to the Ipswich Town media team, so we'll come back and do that shortly.
Blue Monday is brought to you in partnership with Atwell Solicitors, your ideal legal partner for property and business law. Whether you're buying a home, starting a business, or just need legal guidance, our dedicated team has got you covered. Trust our award-winning customer service team to handle your legal matters with care and expertise. Find out more at atwells.com or visit us at our offices in Ipswich, Colchester, London, and our new location in Woodbridge.
Thank you to Outwells for their support of the podcast across all of our shows this season. We're great to have them back on board. We mentioned pre-match show. You can get your intel on Derby via Seb's research. That's available now. And the weekend preview giving a slightly different angle on things if you're on top tier. Do join that. There's plenty of stuff going on there. Ad-free content, blogs, videos, all. We basically cover you for the whole week through that, in addition to the stuff we've already got free to access. But the flagship show will be back tomorrow night with Joe, Dave and Ben to talk about Derby after the fact, hopefully with positivity. Who knows? We might have made another signing after the game. That's the kind of thing that we do them right now. But as we say, please do give us the thumbs up. Do subscribe. This content will land in your inbox that way. And thank you to folk listening in podcast land, particularly if Apple is your app of choice. We mentioned numbers. We are keeping good company in some good charts, which is the kind of stuff that I love, the nerdy analytics. But we appreciate you. Thank you, everyone who's got involved today as well. Appreciate that too, especially the Aussie contingent. Right, let's give our flowers to the admin team, the social media admin team, Joe. I need to take a point away for announcing Egeli at 10:15. A peek behind the curtain, George from the weekend preview and myself were lined up, ready to go between 6 p.m. through to 8:30, 8:45 p.m. And we kind of packed up and then suddenly 10:15, go get the box, which is where they get a point back for quoting the office. So fair play to them. But I just have to put this picture up on the screen, Joe, because you talked really well about this on Thursday night. Look at that. Look at Nunez. If anyone's listening, he's gone for the badge straight away. They did this really well. There were some people out in the wider world who got triggered by it. But I think from an Ipswich Town perspective, we did them the favour of not doing it on their fan Q&A night on Thursday, but they properly leaned into it, and fair play to them.
Yeah, and there's even some annoyance on. I think somebody shared a copy of the Norwich paper today saying, "Oh, Nunez loves the badge," and there's a picture of him like holding the Norwich badge when he was there playing, holding the Ipswich badge. So they are rattled, and I can see why, because I would be so rattled myself if it was the other way, because I just can't believe that they've sold us one of their best players for normal fee, not even just like a blow your mind fee, just a normal fee. And yeah, I reckon I've watched that video, that little 54-second video, probably about 60 times so far.
Shout out Danny Haynes.
Yeah, really good to see Danny Haynes back in there, the old original Canary Crusher back in there. Yeah, so good little bit from him. The music's great choice, sort of with Run This Town from Rihanna and Jay-Z. And I just love the video. When he's walking and holding the badge, that little smirk on his face, and especially the wink at the end is just, I can imagine there were heads exploding up the A140 when they saw that wink at the end of the video, if they'd made it that far without sort of steaming
chucking the phone
or throwing their phone against the wall. But yeah, no, it's really good. And there's been a few nice little bits like good evening, everybody, and good, especially to you, and sort of picking up their old tweets and moving them over. And he just looks really, really happy to be here. And why wouldn't you be if you've had to, like, I was in Norwich yesterday, and that stand they have on the whichever one, it's just so tin pot, the stand they have on there. So it's really nice for Nunez to walk into a proper stadium where you can walk around, look at all four stands in there and think, yeah, I'm at a proper club now, and I can't wait to get going.
Yeah, he's seen the box, the media box as well, which I love is becoming a thing now too. And a bit of aha. We need to shout out the announcement for Egeli last night up in the North Stand roof with a flag?
Yeah.
Health and safety. Can't believe
they did a kit launch up there, didn't they? I think with Wolfie.
Last season or 2 seasons ago,
yeah.
isn't it? But yeah, fair play to you. Just do us a favour and the 10 o'clock thing, like, I mean, fair play. We all were on Telegram and all that kind of stuff, but no, they've definitely earned it in the last 48 hours. Rich Calver as well, the club photographer, I know he's always on call 24/7, and he was talking about deadline day, which is a good segue, completely inadvertent, Joe, about deadline day. We are chatting about doing something on Monday. It does depend how busy we think we'll be, but it's probably Outgoings. But you feeling anything? There's a lone spot you mentioned. What's your take on whether it might be a quiet one? Mark Ashton's done it all too soon, hasn't he? Should have saved it for Monday.
Yeah, potentially. I saw a tweet last night from somebody saying if Nottingham Forest trying to sign that Nick Folder Mutter and Whistler still from Brentford, that's still ongoing. And I think it said, if Newcastle get 2 over the line, then Will Asula will be available for loan. And I think maybe if there is an option to take him, you might just pull that trigger and just get him in here, because, like I said, I think we probably are still at least half a body short in that out and out striking department. So I think Akpom will play below. So if an opportunity like that presents itself for a long-term target and we can just pull the trigger on it, I can see it happening. I can see it happening there. I can see it happening in central midfield. I don't really see where else. I know there's been a lot of talk of Luke Wolfenden leaving, but that seemed to be linked with the Sebastian Caceres deal, and that one is now dead.
That's isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, reported from the Mexican press. So I'm glad about that, to be fair. I think I'd rather keep Wolfie here than bring somebody else in who's going to expect to play, who plays in the same position as the skipper. So I think that would have been a lot of work to do to get that one done. But yeah, I think it is going to be mainly focused on outgoings, and then just keeping an eye on if a really, really good opportunity presents itself. Like we've spoken on the pod, doesn't seem to have been anywhere else about like Ivanovic, the Millwall striker. I think Palmer have been in for him for £6 million. So maybe if it's a deal to be done at that sort of level, we might just pull the trigger, because he's another under 21 player that you can make a move on and strengthens that striking department. But yeah, I don't think we're going to be doing much more than just sitting there with our targets in mind, seeing if anything can happen quickly and does happen quickly. But yeah, it's going to be the outgoings, which is the interesting side of things.
Is there anyone from West Brom's 23-24 team that we could sign? I mean, we've done most of it, haven't we?
Are we going to pull Kyle Bartley out?
That was the name on Thursday, wasn't it?
Yeah. I think he's retired this year now, so
that's a shame.
Otherwise, he would be here, no doubt. But
yeah,
that's strange, that isn't how we've gone back to that sort of well so many times.
Yep. I think someone said in the chat, didn't they? Or maybe we talked about it that night. And I was there. Were you at West Brom?
No, that's like the only game I missed that year. I was in London.
It was on the telly,
England. So
It was a brutal night, that one, and just really I think I described it at the time as like when you've got a younger sibling, and you basically hold their head and let them try and swing punches at you. Like we were going through the motions, but just didn't have a clue how to deal with them. And so I think Furlong mentioned it in his Town TV interview that that's helped him kind of familiarize himself with his new surroundings too, having people that he knows there. So that's helpful. There's definitely a kind of a bond there, a unit there, which helps. And what's great as well is we've kind of talked about Nunez coming in, some good English on some of these viral videos, but his arrival presumably helps Azon kind of get up to speed too. There's a bit of familiarity there, so that's important too, isn't it? Getting these players gelled and part of the squad, because it has feel a bit disjointed so far, isn't it?
Yeah, and also we're not a particularly cosmopolitan squad, are we?
No,
it's not a League of Nations. It might be a League of Nations squad, but generally it's players who have grown up in Britain and maybe have gone off in previous years, like Sam Moores and Axel Tuanzebe, who have gone off to play for other countries, but they've lived in England their whole life, so they're not players brought in from the continent with hugely different life experiences, different languages as first languages to speak to. Yeah, so it is difficult, because the only sort of actual, I'd say, sort of foreign players we've had, sort of Jens Kajust, who is Swedish but is American when he speaks. He's sort of grown up, lived in China, international schools, and then Václav Hladký previously, and then Aro Muric. And whilst sort of without talking sort of the quality of their goalkeeping, they did both seem a little bit sort of a man apart from the rest of the squad at times.
Yeah, I think that's the goalkeepers' union for you, though, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. It could, but then you see like Christian Walton and Alex Palmer, they don't seem in that position. So now we've got sort of Matasiwa and Keeper, who I think are very close. They're both French speakers. I know Matisse was Dutch and has got perfect English, and Keeper's lived in England a long time, but they've both played in France together. So when you see the sort of walk around videos, they seem to be close in that regard. And obviously Jenske Eustace played with Matisse as well, so that's one in there. No, we've got Egeli, we've got Azon, or is he going to be? I think he's having Ivan on the back of his shirt rather than Azon. So I guess we're going to need to start calling him Ivan in the same way that Pablo. But then he was Pablo Cunago. I guess we'll find that one out in time. But I think he is going to be in Ivan. But we've got Ivan and now Nunez, but there's still a heavy sort of Irish and British sort of slant.
6
team
in the Irish squad, isn't it?
Yeah, 5 in the Irish squad, isn't there?
Jetting off next week. Yeah. So, but it's positive to see. We've bemoaned the lack of business in foreign markets where you generally get, if Egeli is comparable to Amari, well, it's half the fee, isn't it? Basically, to what Forest have paid. I know he's going to the Prem, but there's that aspect too there. So it's good to see us shopping there a little bit, and we've bemoaned the lack of value. We've seen them lot up the road, and Nunez proves it that there's value out there if you're able to cast your net a bit further. So it's good to see us finally catching up, albeit if some of them have to come from places closer to home. I just want to put the squad depth thing. If you're joining us late, welcome, and don't be triggered by the fact that I put Darnell Furlong on the wrong side of defence. I'm just going to chuck some names at you in terms of players that there's a lot of conversation in the chat about Wolfie. Your sense is that he probably isn't going to be let go at this moment, but the chat is suggesting that, quite understandably, let me see your face, Joe. He might want to go. There's some stuff on socials this week. Do you want to comment on that?
Yeah, I can see why he would want to go. Realistically, he's not going to play a huge amount in the league this season. If Darragh O'Shea stays fit all season, he's probably going to play 46 games in the position that Luke Wolfenden wants to play. But on the flip side, for us as a club, when the transfer window shuts, if Darragh O'Shea is to break his leg in training next week, then we need Luke Wolfenden to be able to step straight into the team and play the 46 games or whatever the 42 remaining games himself. So I wouldn't want him to go. I think he's a fantastic player. He's been great for us, but I can see why he would want to go. But I just don't see it personally. I think there's too much to do to get somebody else in to get him out now. And yeah, he'll just have to. I wouldn't say just get over it and play, because I'm sure he'll be professional the whole time. And he's just frustrated, and obviously being knocked out at Bromley means there's one less game. We don't often name a centre back on the bench, so he's probably going to be going through that phase where you're the 21st man, so you're going up to away games to travel, warm up on the pitch a little bit, and then go and sit in the stands. So yeah, it's going to be a really demoralising and not fair almost for a player of his quality and what he's done for us. So I can see it, but I just don't see it will happen. I think if you put the squad thing back up there, we can see where we're oversubscribed. And with Darnell Furlong on the right, you've got 4 right backs there: Ashley Young, Ben Johnson, Darnell Furlong, Harry Clark. You're going to have to lose at least one of them, I'd imagine. Or Harry Clark, he said, is due back after the international break, so maybe he's one that a deal could be done for elsewhere. Ben Johnson doesn't ever feel the right fit for me, so there's one that can go there. You look at the centre backs, I think we're pretty set there with Baggett probably to go on loan. Left back, it's sort of Leif Davis, but I think Ashley Young, Cameron Humphreys can cover that position. Like Ashley Young's played left back in the World Cup semi-final, so it's not a new role for him. I know it just doesn't quite give us what we want. Central midfield, Nunez, Matasiba, Kudus are all obviously going to be staying. Is there something that's done with Cameron Humphreys? I don't think so, because I think he's so versatile. Mentioned their left back, he can play in the attacking midfield roles. Jack Taylor, I wouldn't say I'd be mega surprised if all of a sudden something happens really quickly and a new midfielder comes in and Jack Taylor goes out. But who knows on that side? And then the right-hand side, McAteer, Ogbene, Burns and Egeli. Can you register all 4 of them? Probably not. Where's Burns? One of my friends spoke to him on Wednesday night and he said he's about 8 weeks away from full training. So you're talking the start of November there. So way, way too early to even think about not registering him until January. So we'll have to see how that one goes, because it's a...
Is that really, 8 weeks to training, Joe? Because 8 weeks to...
8 weeks to full training, he said.
Okay, then match fitness is, I guess...
That could be a Chinese whisper, because that's what my friend told me. So
Sure.
Burns told him, yeah. So it's...
not deaf info,
No, not deaf info, yeah. But I think he'll be fit, if he's going to be fit about November. There's probably about 9 games between November and January. You can't just have somebody not registered for those. and then Smodics and Chaplin. From what I gather, there is a bit of interest in Connor Chaplin from around the league. So is he one that maybe moves on? I think it'd be a devastating blow to the squad if he does. But if you're looking at Smodics can play in that 10 role, and we're sort of reinventing that Tuba Akpom can play in that 10 role now, or probably is more going to be playing in that 10 role. Egeli can play centrally. McAteer can come over. Even Philogene can probably come over there. Cam Humphreys can step up and play that role if he needs to.
Nunez could.
Nunez, yeah, he's done that in Norwich. Where does that leave? Where does that leave Connor Chaplin? And in the same way, we're talking about Luke Wolfenden here. Is he going to be happy? Is he going to be happy just to be sitting here getting 15 minutes off the bench? Maybe not even being on the bench.
Why not? Yeah,
maybe,
I was going to say.
Maybe not getting on the pitch. I just could easily see a world in which Chappers leaves before the deadline, and it's going to be, like I say, a real blow. But we've said exactly the same thing about Wolfie, saying, where's he going to play? Darrow says he's going to play every game. Connor Chaplin's really, I know it's slightly different as an attacker because there's more subs, so you do get more chances. But if he's going to be third in line for that 10 role, is that going to be enough for him? I wouldn't say so, because he's so driven, such a good player that he's going to want to get out there. And his contract's up in the summer, isn't it, as well? I think he's in the last year of his contract as well.
Yep.
Yeah, so last year of his contract, this is probably a good opportunity for him to go and get a good 3 or 4 year deal somewhere potentially.
Yeah,
so
Pompey or something like that. Yeah,
we'll see how that goes. But I don't think Pompey would be able to afford him. I think obviously in an ideal world you want to go there, but I think you'd be looking more sort of a higher end of the club with bigger budgets there. But that would be a real shame for both of them. But I can see why either of them goes. I think the left is sort of Philogene, Jack Clark. I think Ali Al Hamadi will go, or potentially go, and then that probably gets you down to about your 25. But yeah, there's going to be some. There'll be
a story, won't there?
Yeah, there's going to be something that's really going to hurt the Ipswich fan base that you'd imagine between now and Monday, and it's just how it is now, it seems. And whilst we all sort of love those players, and they've been. Well, they were fantastic for us, or have been fantastic for us all the way through. And these are going to be the guys where now we sit here with Matt Holland and Jim Chilton, and these guys are heroes to like our generation. Those guys are going to be the same for
Gen Z,
still us and the young, and the younger teams, the younger guys, and sort of still our age fans. They're going to be the ones you want to see in 25 years coming back to talk about the fantastic double promotion and work from there in the same way that the sort of heroes from the 70s and 80s still do, and the early 90s promotion team, the 2000 ones, they've sort of got their place in folklore. But it does seem that the journeys at football clubs are a lot shorter these days.
Agreed. I've got one more question for Joe, and then I've been logging questions that I'm going to come back to. You've got a little bit more time to get a few more in, and then we'll finish on Egeli, and then we'll get you out to pre-match and Derby. And if you're traveling as well, obviously be safe, but let us know you're out there in the chat. We love that. There's a few people watching kids play football and people getting in the car. So if we're part of your pre-match routine this week, then do let us know, because it's always nice to know that. We'll go. I'm looking at Joe. We'll go for 50 minutes because I know you've got to be off, and I've got to do some bits and pieces as well. But if we go a little bit longer, is that okay? I'm just looking.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah,
there you go. We'll maybe a little bit of extra time, folks. My question, Joe, and we've kind of talked around it in terms of Wolford and Chaplin. If you are going to disband this group, this amazing group of double promotion, is it? We've kind of done it. I don't know if it's a strategy or not, but all of them kind of leaving seemingly at the same time. Do you reckon there's any strategy or purpose behind that? Or is it just like dominoes kind of thing? Because I kind of feel if you're going to do it in kind of one big rip the bandage off type way rather than trickle it over time. Is there anything in that?
Possibly. I don't know. I guess just last year we effectively bought 11 players to try and improve our starting 11. So the players moved from like first choices to the subs. And now maybe some of the subs are moving from first subs to out of the squad. I guess that's just a journey you go from. You start as a starter, someone's better than you become their replacement, and then someone better than them comes in, and then you drop down the pecking order one more. So it is sad, and it's sort of a lot of people in the last year, you sort of go on when you look at the team that we all knew so well. The goalkeeper was never really settled because it was Ladkin Walton, but sort of Harry Clark, but he was almost replaced by the end of the season because Tuanzebe played the last dozen games of the season. Wolfie and Burgess, who are just replaced, O'Shane Greaves. And then Leif Davis is the one constant in there. Morsey and Luongo. Well, Luongo was replaced last season. Morsey's been replaced this season. Wes Burns. I think the biggest shame for Wes Burns is that we signed Ogbene in, and I know Ogbene got injured, but I thought Wes Burns was really sort of coming into his own in the Premier League in those last few games. I thought the Chelsea game, just at the sort of our last home win, which hopefully ends today. That'll be after that. But I thought he was excellent on that in that right hand side there. Put a real sort of masterclass performance in for how that role is played, and was maybe getting up to pace. And then he's had a huge injury. Now he's 30. His contract's up in the summer. We've signed 2 more players for that role, so he's probably unlucky to fall out there. Connor Chaplin, he again sort of drifted out of it, didn't he? And Amari Hutchinson took that role from him. Nathan Broadhead, he was sort of straight out as soon as we went up, but injured at the start of the season. And then George Hurst, who's sort of gone, he's been replaced and is now back in. So it's a interesting one. But yeah, it really does feel like it's just going to be Leif Davis and George Hurst as the sort of last 2 standing in it.
Last 2 on the dance floor. And Chris T makes a really valuable point here. If Wolfie and Chappers go, we're going to need a new song. I mean, is it Dara at the back, even in attack, or George in attack, Hursty in attack? I don't know. What is it?
Well, we needed a lot of new songs, really, don't we? Because we've lost.
There's been 5 incarnations of this, John.
Liam Delap, Ole Ole. I heard the Chelsea fans singing out of the London Stadium last week. Yeah. Oh. Amari Hutchinson was a guy with a couple of songs. Nathan Broadhead, just can't get enough, has gone. Massimo had a couple of songs. Massimo. And then, there. So a lot of the guys that have left us this year have taken our best songs with them. So the sort of the poet laureates of the North Stand and Blue Action need to be coming up with some new ones soon.
There we go. Terry, Wonder Valley, or is Oasis off limits? I was thinking Oasis it's time to strike while the iron's hot in terms of their prominence at the moment. Let's go to the questions, Joe.
My O'Shea.
There you go. Well, we need to shout out one of our members of the Telegram group, Chris, who's done, I think, some stickers around that. So that I love that as well. We'll rattle through these questions as quickly as we can. We're trying to get to as many as we can and try and keep it as close.
And just quickly, though, I will mention the Jack Ward football podcast.
Oh, yeah. Do you want me to put the image up?
Yeah. So he's I think he's an Oxford fan, but he's doing some really good analytic videos. He's done one on Cindre Valet Egler, which released yesterday, and then one for Marcelino Nunez, which was, I think, the day before on that. But yeah, he's done some really good videos, done some excellent ones about Ipswich Town. Seems like mostly championship-based, some really good stuff. Nothing clickbaity, controversial. That just really, really good quality football analysis. So yeah, give him a watch if you want to maybe see how Egele and Nunez will fit into our system with some good examples from him.
There you go. Yeah, head over there. We might retweet it or repost it as well, so you can find that. But yeah, go searching for that and you'll find it, I'm sure, very quickly. What have we got in the chat then? Let's ask a question about Egele. Looking at his heat map from last season, he seems to get about the pitch in attacking positions. Do we think he'll have the same license to roam once bedded in? Asks Tom.
Well, I guess you don't want to pull that out of somebody's games. I'm sure there'll be times when he needs to be more disciplined. But if he's as good as we hope he will be, and can get on the ball and make things happen, then you let him go and find the ball and make things happen in the same way that we set up to let Amari Hutchinson do that over the back end of the championship run. You go and find it where the ball is and do it there, as long as you're not leaving the team too short elsewhere. Yeah,
it's the cover that's the issue, but maybe a different situation in the Championship compared to the Premier League, where we were dominated most weeks. Blue Blood, superb transfer window. Joe, do you think we still need cover for Leif Davis, or am I being greedy? We talked about the versatility of some of our options, but it's a fair question.
Yeah, maybe it's one that when we talk about a loan spot, maybe just a loan signing can come in if you can do it numbers wise. But I still think Cameron Humphreys can do it. He played there for us in the Championship last time. He was, I think, when we played QPR at home, he was the guy that played that role, and I think he's got the energy, he's got the left foot. Yeah, maybe he hasn't got quite that explosive pace that Leif Davis has got, but I think it's a role that he can cover, and it gives you that nicer balance. But yeah, I think we're well enough covered there. We know that Leif Davis is incredibly durable as well. The amount of times he looks like he's going to miss a game and actually comes down to it, he never seems to, does he?
The foot is hanging off the leg, but he's still in the team. Good on Leif. Sean asked this. I'll expand it a little bit. Sean asked, do you see Akbom in the starting lineup? open the question up, which of the new signings, particularly the recent guys, I think Egeli obviously not registered in time, but of the new signings that we've seen over the last few days, Nunez wouldn't surprise me if he's on the bench today because of that injury. Maybe it's like Amari's throat. I don't know. How many of the new signings do you expect to feature today? He asked specifically about Akpom, but anyone else you expect to see?
Well, I think the only two who are available, because I think Egele's not got international clearance yet,
No.
and I think they said Nunez isn't available till after the break, whether that's all a ruse or not.
Smoke screen.
But I think Furlong and Ivan are available. So I wouldn't even be surprised if Furlong comes straight into the team, because we've mentioned that Ben Johnson is one who could potentially be on his way out. I think if you... And we spoke about how the team and squad today could give you some hints as to what is going on. If we turn up today and Ben Johnson isn't in the starting 11 or on the subs bench, he's probably one that is off ski.
Yep.
And it wouldn't surprise me if Furlong's such there. And hopefully Ivan, we can get him on and get some minutes in him, because we have sort of flogged George Hurst so far this season. He's played every minute available, hasn't he? I think.
Yes.
It would be nice, because he's having to, I guess, sort of play within himself at times, because he knows he's got to go for 90 minutes. It'd be nice if he could, even if it's just 75, he can just push himself for 75 minutes, and we have Ivan come on for the last 15 just to get a couple of late goals.
A couple of late goals, if you're asking. Joe Cook, what about the standard Brighton loan? Enciso's gone. I think Sarmiento's off as well to somewhere else on loan.
Yeah, Cremonese he's going to, isn't he?
So is there someone else that we don't know about there?
I'm sure there is. They seem to just find them, don't they? And there was one we were linked with a central midfielder, but I think he's gone to Swansea now. But yeah, maybe. We obviously have a good relationship with them as a club for players there.
Thank you to, I'm going to go with Bjerke72. I'm assuming it's a Norwegian, perhaps, who's a big fan of Egeli. Thank you for joining our top tier membership. You can do likewise by pressing the join button. And content coming your way. There'll be blogs tomorrow. There'll be Beyond the Scoreline on Monday as well. And as I say, we keep that content coming almost on a daily basis. It's a combination of free to access and that stuff. So thank you for your support. I think this is I'm going to pose this as it's written. Do we keep Taylor or Humphreys?
I think it's going to be difficult to keep Taylor happy, because effectively, I think he's probably third choice in that 8, the sort of left central midfield role between with Kajust and Nunez there. I don't see that there's a time where he's going to play ahead of either of them in a league game. So it might be that he may just want to make a move, and I think that's a shame, because he has started the season well. I thought he was our best player at Preston last week. I know it's a sort of a low bar to clear, so to speak. But yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if Taylor goes, because I think he's going to be harder. It's going to be. He was signed almost expected to be a first choice, and then over the first 2 seasons, I think he started 11 league games, and probably 4 of those when we were already relegated. He was very much just a sub in nearly every game. He's kept himself incredibly fit. He looks really, really big, quick, strong at the moment, but I think with what we've got here, I just don't see many opportunities for him this season. So he might be one. Again, last year of his contract, international, 27, probably one you could just pick up a decent fee for as well.
Yeah, McKenna seems to like him as well, doesn't he? And that's always in my thinking, but yeah, it just really hasn't worked. Although he's had a good start of the season, had a good enough pre-season, but there's just too much strength and depth, assuming those players stay fit around him now, isn't there? So, and as you say, Humphreys has got that versatility too. Worth noting, Joe, the boss is here. Thank you, Ben, for joining in. Good to have you with us. Ask us a question if you want, we'll answer it.
Just give my time sheet for overtime.
Right. If we put it on the teleprompter, Ron Burgundy will read it. I was going to ask you about Barbrook. James B, one of our top tier members. What options for Barbrook? Stay to boost squad and fluctuate between first team training and under 21 matches, or out on loan?
It's just difficult to see what is best for his development. I know he's had a bit of League 2 interest. I don't know if there's some League 1 interest. I think Salford was one. I think there's a couple of teams that would like him, and he's looked really, really good for us when he has played. I really like him, but I did mention earlier how Kieran McKenna likes 27 players in his first team squad. That's tend to be what we've run with there. So maybe he becomes that 27th man in the squad in the same way that Cameron Humphreys did it in our last championship season, where you're playing minimal minutes, but you are just in and around that first team every day training with them, because he's never had that. He's been, I think he was on Sutton on loan. He was at Sutton on loan last year, Chelmsford on loan the year before. So he's not had that Cameron Humphreys season where you are just training in that first team intensity, being available all the time, picking up the odd under 21 game here and there. So I personally, I'd probably like to keep him around. I think he's, especially learning off Matt at sea, I think he's going to learn more in a year here than he maybe would elsewhere on loan. And it's something that maybe could be looked at again in January, that we could have him for the first half of the season in that first team squad in and around it, because he, as an under 21, it's not costing us anything to have him there.
Yep. I agree. I'd keep him around. I'm going to end it there on the questions. We're going to do a bit of a summary on Egeli, and then we're going to say goodbye, because we've got to go to Derby, haven't we? We've got football guys. We could talk about transfers, or Joe could talk about transfers all day. He loves this stuff, but I want to go and see some football. I'm going to put the wagon wheel up. I don't know if we put that up so far, Joe, for Egeli. So, and this, apologies, we've got million and one different pronunciations.
I'm sure we've got it right at least once between us.
I reckon so. If we've
tried every potential option, haven't we?
Chuck enough pronunciations, something's got to stick. Yeah, I mean, it's quite difficult to I'm trying to look into that, but does that tell you anything exciting, Joe? Is that too small for you? Because it is a little bit for me.
No, not really. It's just a lot of shots, a lot of creating his own shots, a lot of progressive passes, a lot of dribbling. So yeah, he's just an attacking progressive player who makes a lot happen when he's on the ball. So he is someone that is hopefully going to sprinkle that stardust and make some magic happen for us.
Yep, and we're excited. Record fee, repeat that as well. So good stuff. Thank you everyone for getting involved. Thank you for the chat. Thank you to the Australian contingent. If you're listening to this after the game, we hope today has been a positive one. We'll get Joe's brief take on the Derby game in a second, but thank you everyone for getting involved. Please do give us a thumbs up before you say goodbye. 5-star rating on podcast app of choice. This will be out on podcast audio, by the way, as soon as I can get it done. And hopefully, if you're listening to this after the fact, let us know, especially let us know from the future what the result is, so we can put some money on it. But thank you, Joe, for giving up your morning, and a great transfer window so far. Who knows what might happen in the last few days? Keep your eyes peeled on our socials and on our YouTube feed for all the reactions. I've just got to put this guy up very briefly as well. There he is. Look at him, cheeky face. He knows what he's doing. Joe, give us your. We've obviously done pre-match and weekend preview for Derby, but give us your take on what you expect this afternoon.
I think it's just one where the result is all really that matters today, isn't it? And
it does.
I think Derby have been, when you look at the numbers, the underlying stats, have been probably the poorest team in the league so far. And it's just not what you'd expect from John Eustace's team, who's normally very, very solid. So I'd imagine for them, it's very much going to be a case of just trying to get here. And if they can get away with anything, sort of to try and kickstart their season, would be a good result for them. So yeah, we are going to be up against a low block, needing to be aware of the counter-attack. They've got sort of good pace on the break.
Aiden Jackson.
Yeah, I don't think he's been starting, but
no.
I think Lewis Travers has signed for them, so I don't know if he'll come straight in to make their debut.
Might be the skipper. Yeah, he might. My mates on BBC Derby was suggested that he might take the armband straight away, which wouldn't be a surprise.
But it's not going to be a flowing open game. It's going to be one where they are going to be getting down and we're going to have to grind something out of it. But hopefully, these sort of games, an early goal will help. 2 early goals would be even better. So hopefully we can just start quickly like we did last night at Portman Road against Southampton and get something. Yeah, build from there. Great stuff. Joe, thank you for your insight. As always, appreciate your company this morning. Thank you everyone again for joining us. If you're at Portman Road, be loud, be noisy, get behind the team. Let's hope there's some players on the pitch perhaps before or at halftime. That might G everyone up a little bit, mightn't it? And join us on the flagship show tomorrow night, Sunday nights, to hear all about the game after the fact. I'll say it one last time. The Egeli has landed. Thank you everyone for joining. And come on, you Blues!